So yes, good morning students. So today we will start with our biology practicals. So yes, we should begin with it. So yes, fine. So this is our biology practical that we will be doing today. So yes, so we will be going to study the two plants through their models and their virtual images that are found in aquatic habitats like the freshwater ponds and lakes. First, we have to identify them and then we have to comment upon their morphological adaptations. What kind of adaptations they have when they live in the water. Fine. So now, so this is a list of the experiment that you will going to write in your notebook that I have already shared you on the Prism portal. Fine. So now the aim of today's experiment is to study the two plants through their models and the virtual images that are found in the aquatic conditions, that are found in the aquatic habitats. We have to comment upon their morphological adaptations. So these three plants I have selected for today's study. First is the hydrilla, second is the Velisneria, and third is the Acarnoria. Do you know what plant it is? See this plant, it is a hydrilla. This picture is of hydrilla plant. It is a submerged plant, it is an aquatic plant, it is an hydrophyte. So here you can see this is that hydrilla. This is that hydrilla. See this is a freshwater plant. It is found in the aquatic habitat, means it is found in the freshwater bodies like the lakes, ponds, rivers and streams. See, all those plants that are found in the water, they are also called as a hydrophyte. Hydro means water, phyte means loving. So such kind of plant, they can also be called as a hydrophyte or simply I can say aquatic plant. Fine. So see this, the whole plant body of this hydrilla, it is submerged in the water. It is totally under the water. So that's why such type of plant, they can also be called as a submerged hydrophytes and they remain attached to the substratum. Substratum means any solid surface like that of the rocks, like that of the bottom soil of the pond or the lakes by the means of the adventitious roots in these freshwater ponds. Fine. So this is the whole body of this plant. When we look onto the whole body of this plant, hydrilla, here you can see the stem is there. Here you can see the leaves are there and the roots are there with the help of which it remains attached to the substratum. Fine. See, here you can see the stem is so soft and slender. Why? Because here, see this plant, it is a submerged plant. It lives in the water. So there is no mechanical tissue inside it. There is no xylem and fluid inside it, due to which the stem is very soft and slender. It simply limps out. Here you can see when you take this plant out from the water, it simply limps out that because due to the absence of the mechanical tissue, xylem and phloem in it. Fine. So, and here you can see these are the nodes at which the leaves are present. So these leaves, they are not very well developed. These leaves, they are very thin and membranous and they are arranged in a whorl of 3 to 8. Why? Because in this condition of thin and membranous leaves, which are arranged at these nodes in a whorl of 3 to 8, they offer least resistance to the flow of the water. What will happen since this plant it is growing under the water? So what will happen with the flow of the current of the water? It will also flow like with it. So in this state, it offers least resistance to the flow of the water. It can easily survive under the water. Next point, they lack the cuticle and stomata. See this cuticle, it is required on the land plants. Land plant, they have to stop the transpiration. They have to reduce their transpiration. Transpiration means the loss of the water in the form of the water vapor from the leaves of the from the surface of the leaves with the through this stomata. Fine. Since this plant it is totally under the water, so there is no threat for the loss of the water. ये totally plant पानी के अंदर है, so there is no threat for the water stress. So in that case, the leaves of that plant as well as the stem, it totally lacks the cuticle. There is no cuticle in them. Cuticle is entirely absent, and the stomata are also absent. Fine. And then next is the whole plant body. It is covered by the means of a mucilage. Mucilage means it's a kind of a protective covering that is very sticky, that is very slippery, and which help this plant to prevent the desiccation of this plant. See, this plant, it is totally under the water. So in order to prevent the rotting of this plant, uh, the epiphytic growth of other microorganisms or fungi on this plant, this whole plant body, it is covered by the means of a mucilage. When you take out this plant from the pond, you will see some kind of slipperiness on it, some kind of mucilage on it. So that is that mucilage which help this plant in preventing the desiccation of this plant. Fine. Here you can see this is the freshwater pond. Here you can see all this green thing. It is all the submerged hydrilla. Here you can see this is all the hydrilla. Here you can see how this plant, with the help of its adventitious root, remains attached to the substratum, and how these leaves, they are very thin, they are very membranous, they are arranged in the whorls at the nodes. Fine. Here you can see how with the current of the water, how this plant, it is flowing with that. See, this is all, these are the different adaptations of this plant that help this plant to survive under the water. And these are the beautiful flowers of this plant that help in the sexual reproduction of this plant. Fine. So in this way, this ends here. The next plant that we have taken is the Vallisneria. See, this Vallisneria, it is commonly called as the eel grass or the tape grass or the vallis. Here you can see this is the picture of this plant, Vallisneria. Here you can see the long ribbon shaped leaves. These all are the leaves, and they all are like the ribbons, green ribbons. So this is the adaptation of this plant that helps to survive in the water. Again, this plant, it is a freshwater aquatic plant. Again, it is a hydrophile. It is a submerged plant, and it has beautiful flowers on it at the time of the sexual reproduction. All these plants, they are the submerged plant. They grow in the freshwater ponds. Fine. Here the stem is very reduced. Here you cannot see any stem. Stem to dikh hi nahi raha hai, only leaves you can see. So in this particular plant, the stem is very reduced, and the roots, they are in the form of the rhizome. So with the help of this rhizome, they remain attached to the base of the soil that are found. They remain attached to the soil, and this soil, it is found at the bottom of this pond. So here you can see with the help of these rhizomes, or the roots, they remain attached to the soil that is found at the base of this pond. Fine. Now, so with the help of this rhizome, they remain attached to the substratum, that is the soil in that case. And now the leaves, here you can see the large, long, ribbon-shaped leaves are found that simply flows with the current of the water, and in that state it offers the least resistance to the flow of the water. Fine. So this is an adaptation. This is an aquatic adaptation that this plant have in it. It's a kind of the morphological adaptation that this plant have in it in order to survive under the aquatic conditions. So, and they also lack the cuticle and stomata because there is no need for it. And the leaves, they do not offer any resistance to the flow of the water because they're very thin, they're very large, they are very membranous, and they are simply ribbon shaped. They simply flows with the water current. Now, the whole plant, again in this case also, it is covered by the means of the mucilage. Why? It simply prevents the desiccation of this plant, because this plant, it is growing totally under the water. It is totally submerged under the water. Now, see, in this Vallisneria, water pollination is found. Water pollination, it is also called as a hydrophily. So here in this particular plant, what will happen at the time of sexual reproduction? So with the help of the water, actually the cross pollination takes place in this plant. And when the cross pollination, it takes place by the agency of the water, it is called as a water pollination or the hydrophily. So what will happen at the time of the cross pollination in this plant? So here you can see both male and female plant, they are distinct. Male plant, it will bear the male flowers on it. Female plant, it will bear the female flowers on it. Male flowers की जो stalk है, stem है, it's not very big, it's very small. and these are the anthers there, and inside these anther the pollen they are filled. These pollen they contain the male gametes, and this is the female flowers. At the time of the sexual reproduction, what will happen? Male flower it will mature, sexually mature. Female flower it will also sexually mature. See, these female flower they are born on a very long stalk. Here you can see the stalk is very long. So what will happen? At this time? See, these female flowers, once they reach their sexual maturity, they are brought to the surface of the water, with the help of these long stalks. Fine. Once they are at the surface of the water, they will simply float on the surface of the water. Now, at the same time, the anthers they will burst. They will release the pollen grain into the water. Now, with the help of the water current, they will be brought onto the surface of the water. These pollen grain they will come in the contact with the stigma, into the stigma of this female flower. There they will germinate. Male gamete will fuse with the egg that is present inside the ovule of this female flower. Now the fertilization will happen, and the fruit will be formed, the seed will be formed. So in this way, here the pollination, the cross pollination, it is occurring with the medium of the water. That's why it is called as a water pollination and hydrophyly. See, this water pollination, it helps in achieving the sexual reproduction in this plant. This is only the mode. This is only the mode by which this plant can sexually reproduce. So this is the important phenomena which is found in this plant, Vallisneria. Fine. Now this also ends here. Now the next and the last is the plant that we have selected is the Echinoria. Fine. So here you can see this is the Echinoria. It is commonly called as the water hyacinth or the Jalkumbhi. Fine. See, other plants that we have studied, all these plants, they are totally submerged under the water. Fine. But this is the unique plant that simply floats on the surface of the water. Fine. So this is a free floating plant, hydrophyte, that grows in the ponds, lakes, water bodies containing the fresh water. Fine. So yes, here in this case, see this plant, it has to float on the surface of the water. So this plant, it has to acquire some adaptation in its structure so that it can float on the surface of the water. So that's why in this particular plant, the stem is modified. The stem, it is modified. It is modified to form the offset or the stolon. Here you can see the offset or stolon is there. It simply runs just below the surface of the water, and at the nodes it bears the large number of the or a group of the brown adventitious roots into the water, below the water, and on the top of it these nodes they will bear the clusters of the leaves, and all these leaves they are spongy, they are bulbous, they are covered with a thick, flashy coats, waxy coats on that. And here you can see these are the petioles. These are the flashy, bulbous petioles of this plant. Why these petioles they have inflated, they have become bulbous, they have become spongy. The thing is that see these leaves they are present above the surface of the water. So with the help of these bulbous petioles, they remain above the surface of the water in the air. Fine. So this is the adaptation that this plant it has. Fine. Now, so the stem is modified here, and this modified stem we called is at the offset. It simply grows prostately below the surface of the water. Fine. And the stem it is also spongy. Lots of air it is filled inside it. Lots of air is there which is stored in it. That simply provides a buoyancy to this plant. See, this plant has to float on the surface of the water. And in order to float on the surface of the water, it requires some buoyancy on it. Buoyancy means so that it can easily float. Fine. So lots of spaces are there in it, and the air is filled inside it. That's why it becomes light and it floats on the surface of the water. And then leaves, here you can see the leaves are there. The leaves are above, they are aerial, they are present above the surface of the water in the air. All these leaves they are thick, waxy, rounded, glossy, and they all rise above the water surface on their stalks as well as on their swollen petiole. Here you can see this petiole, how they are very much swollen, so that all these leaves they can remain emerged out above the level of the surface of the water. Fine. Why these leaves they are thick? The thing is that, see this plant, it is a free floating plant, free floating plant. So now in order to prevent the wetting of this plant, these leaves they are coated with they are thickly coated with a wax coating. And when when a thick layer of wax is present on it, they become glossy in nature. They simply shine when the sunlight strikes to it. They simply shine. They look glossy. They look glossy in their appearance. Now here you can see how these leaves they are arranged. Now the stalk. So this is stalk. This is stalk. The main purpose of this stalk is that this is stalk. First of all, it is bulbous. It is a spongy stalk, and it is about 50 centimeter long. And at the top of it, it bears a single spike of 18 to 15 very beautiful showy purple color flowers. Here you can see how the beautiful flowers they are present in a group, and this group we call as a spike. And this spike it can contain around 8 to 15 flowers on it flowers on it. And in this particular case, the reproduction it can happen by two modes. First, fast reproduction it can happen by the means of vegetative reproduction. It occurs by the means of the offset. What will happen? This offset it will break down. It will break down, and this breakdown, and then this offset will grow on its own. It will develop at the nodes. It will develop the adventitious roots on its below side, and on the top of it at the nodes it will bear numerous leaves on it. So in this way it vegetatively propagates itself, and in a very short span of time it will a large number of these plants you will be going to see in your ponds, growing in the ponds, in the lakes. Fine. See, this plant it is also called as a terror of Bengal. Why? The thing is that actually this plant is not native to India. It is not found in India. It is a foreign plant. It is a foreign plant. It is an exotic plant. It is originally found in the America, in the US, South America. So see this plant, it has such kind of beautiful purple color flowers on it. So due to this showy flowers, it was introduced into the India for its beautiful flowers, and it was introduced into our lakes, into our ponds, where it grows vegetatively by the offset. But now our rivers, they have converted into they have become very dirty, they have become very polluted due to the water pollution, due to the land pollution, due to the soil pollution. Now this Echinoria, it is growing like a like a weed in these polluted water that are found in the lakes of the Pune and the lakes of the India and the rivers of the India, where whole river it has converted into such dense carpet, green carpets. Here you can see all these green carpet. Initially they were the river, but since this plant it grows vegetatively at such a fast rate, uh, so that whole the surface of the water of this freshwater pond it has converted into a dense carpet, and this dense carpet it is all this Echinoria, it is all this Jalkumbhi. Here you can see the flowers, purple flowers of it. Fine. So now it has become a nuisance for us. Now it has become it has become a weed for us, and it is also causing the water pollution, pollution of our rivers, pollution of our lakes and freshwater bodies. Fine. So in order to clean our rivers, first we have to eradicate all these nuisance, creating Echinoria for it, and it costs a lot. It now it is causing an economic loss to India. Fine, because now this beautiful flowers जो हमने originally इसको उसके beautiful flowers के लिए इंडिया में introduce किया था, now it has become a major cause of the water pollution of our rivers, of our lakes, of our ponds. Fine. So now this experiment now ends here. Fine. So So I hope you like it. So now, so I end my session here. Have a good day. Have a nice day. Have a blessed day. Bye.